Your onboarding process is very likely a place where your business is leaking money. So let's look at what a onboarding process could look like. I own a business. My company is called Ops Transformed, and I also need to map my client onboarding process. So we're assuming a client has said yes to a proposal. They've emailed me back. They've confirmed that they want to proceed. What happens next? A lot of owner-led businesses fumble and feel like they have to reinvent the wheel and kind of go back and remember what the heck we did last time we onboarded a client. And that is not great. Somebody has said, shut up and take my money, so we should shut up and take their money. So I'm going to use a tool that I created that I use with my clients to map my process. So a client has said yes. They responded to my email. They want to proceed with a service. The next thing that I need to do is send them an MSA and a statement of work that reflects the proposal. That gets to them on my document signing software, and they need to sign it, and I'll be notified when the signature comes through. The next thing that needs to happen is they need to pay me before we start work. After I get the MSA and SOW signed, I need to send them an invoice, and they need to pay whatever that first installment or deposit is for the project. Once I see that payment come through, then I need to schedule a kickoff call with them. Or if we're doing mapping, like I'm using this tool right now, we would be able to schedule the mapping, the first of the mapping sessions. Then work can go forward. I know just talking through it, there's at least 3 things that I could automate. I'm already using tools. Those tools aren't necessarily talking to each other. So let's do a little bit of analysis. Client agrees to proceed. Yay. Send MSA and statement of work. This one I can't automate because the MSA is pretty much standard. The statement of work obviously has to be updated to match their proposal. Client signs MSA, that's fine. Receive notification. I get an email, so that's nice. It's a good start. Let's mark that though as yellow because it could be more automated, because really this connection between signature notification and sending the invoice, I can probably automate that. So this right here is a break between softwares and a break in my process. Automate the signature send. Send invoice for first payment and installment. Client pays. That's fine. Receive payment. There's another break here because so receive payment and then schedule, those are 2 different softwares and easy to drop the ball on that one. It's not really automated in my life right now. So we can automate. So we receive the payment. I'm flagging the step that would trigger the automation for scheduling the kickoff call. And then we start our project work. And there's many ways that we could expand. That's fine. Okay, so there's 2 ways that I could automate that. In my world, that might look like Zapier. In a different company, it might look like internal automations in one side of one system. At the minimum, it could be like some email flagging so that I don't miss the message when they actually pay and then drop the ball on scheduling with them. That would be terrible. This could possibly all be handled depending on what system you're using inside your CRM. So this is a really high level of my client onboarding and ways that I could drop the ball and therefore drop some money. My priorities, I think, are going to be connecting the notification and the invoice. This one is probably where I want to start because it's the furthest upstream. So this is the one that I want to fix first. Also, though, there's some stuff in here that I didn't even talk about. There's a whole other branch of activity that needs to be happening. These are things that the client needs to do. But when a client agrees to proceed, I also need to update them from lead to client in my CRM. I need to change their tagging. I need to set up their project in Asana. So that means I need to duplicate a template, set up some automations so that the right client code is being tagged in my existing automations. I need to let my assistant and the rest of my team know that we have a new client coming on. So they need to be added to our weekly meeting so that we don't forget that we have new client work coming in that week. And I may need to set up some email automations to make sure that we have the right way to communicate with them. All of my team communication happens in Asana. Your company, you might need to set up a Slack channel or a Google Chat channel or something else, but there's back-end work that also needs to happen. So let's get that added in here as well. I will call this onboarding front end because it's client facing, and I will call this one onboarding back end. So when the client agrees to proceed, we also need to do update status in the CRM and change their tagging, set up project in Asana, which means duplicating that, fixing their tagging. Alrighty. Actually, that I want up here. We have a little sub project for setting up Asana. We're also notifying the team, although actually adding to a client meeting that's part of Asana setup, and email automations and setting up client communication. I don't actually do that because that isn't relevant, but it might be relevant to you. I'll just remove it from here. There we go. I have now relieved my brain of having to remember this every time. I can also show this to anyone on my team so that they understand how a new client setup works so that I'm not always the person doing all of that setup. And it gives us a way to template a project in Asana, which we may choose to do in the future to track all of these things. It also gives us a place to come back to, hopefully before there are any problems, to say, yes, we did all of these things. Or in the future, if there ever is a problem and we need to come back and say, oh boy, that something didn't get set up right. Often in a company, that means an invoice got missed, an invoice didn't get sent out, and we didn't make some money. So then we need to come back to this process and say, why did that invoice get missed? Why did that Asana project not get set up? Whatever the situation is, the next thing, other than flagging things that could and should be automated and choosing where to start, would be color coding this by who's responsible. Maybe I'm not the person who's going to set up the Asana project. That is going to be the responsibility of my assistant. Perhaps we'll outline everything that could be an executive assistant or an admin. Frankly, all the back end work practically, but maybe we have a different person working in the CRM than we do in Asana. So that lets us delegate different kinds of work as well. So if you haven't done this for your client onboarding, make sure you're not missing any really important steps. Make sure you're not starting work before you get paid. Make sure all the projects are set up before the kickoff call. It'll make your life so much better. Does your onboarding look like this? If it doesn't, what does it look like? Do you know? Have you mapped it? If not, why not? If it's because getting information out of your own brain is really flipping hard, you are correct, and I can help with that. Thanks for hanging out, guys.